And wow, is it really good to see you. It's been over a year since we've been able to gather quite in this way, and I am so grateful that you could give your time tonight. In case we haven't met before, sorry about that. My name is Eric Albertus, and I'm blessed to serve as a principal here at Portage Central High School. And we are here this evening to celebrate the incredible work and accomplishments of our IB Diploma students, as well as the educators, parents, and family members who have supported them all along the way. And we are here to show our gratitude to those IB Diploma Seniors for your perseverance and your patience, for your strength and for your energy, for what you have given to others and what you have built for yourselves. I am grateful to say that you have had some good examples around here, parents and friends to follow, colleagues and advisors and coaches, folks you can watch and listen to and take the best from. But I would also submit for your consideration that as you look to the years ahead, you can also learn from some deeply imperfect human beings as well. For me, I really appreciate the work of Jim Harrison. Maybe you've not ever heard of him before, but I bet most of you know his work. And especially all of you moms here in the audience tonight. Yup, Jim Harrison's work got millions of women to fall in love with Brad Pitt. Now, some folks might argue that it was the 1991 movie Thelma and Louise that made Pitt such a heartthrob. Nope, too young, too skinny. Fight Club, oops, wrong one. Fight Club, stronger argument, but still false, too beat up, too bloody. Instead, yes, you saw it, it is Legends of the Fall. Oh, come on, moms, every single one of you in here right now, you know you had a crush on him. Seriously, how could you not? Exactly. And it was Legends of the Fall that was written by Jim Harrison. Harrison grew up here in Michigan, Graylings to be specific. He graduated from Michigan State University. He is the author of many deeply thoughtful screenplays, movies, novels, and pieces of nonfiction. And he was also a complete mess. As a boy, he was teasing a girl in the neighborhood. In response, she took a bottle, she broke it, and shoved it into his face, blinding him in his eye for the rest of his life. Just before Harrison's passing a few years ago, a writer described one of his eyes as going fishing while the other was going bird hunting. That situation and playing high school football without a face mask left him looking distinctly not like Brad Pitt. And his father and his sister were killed in an automobile accident when he was 21 years old, an event that he said cut his tether to the rest of the world. He was an alcoholic for most of his adult life and a recovering alcoholic for the rest of it, and those states ebbed and flowed back and forth over the years. He would talk about how his writing would keep the vodka at bay. Decades of smoking gave his voice the feel of soft cotton as the smoke stained the white stubble on his beard. And despite his struggles, and I would argue because of them, we can learn a great deal from Jim Harrison. We can definitely learn the importance of working hard. I grew up in a small farming community, much like Harrison, and as a young man, I knew that Harrison was my people. If you were born and raised in the country, he wrote, neuroses are only minimally tolerated. You can be goofy as long as you're a good worker. In the upper Midwest, a stern duty always calls, and to be late for work or to be a layabout is a crime against the state. You have your coffee, then you feed your farm animals, and then you feed yourself. We can learn, I think, from Harrison that it's wonderful to work alongside people who look at the world so very differently than we do. Quote, I was diverted by NPR when a disembodied voice said that a mere teaspoon of a neutron star would weigh 1 billion tons, he wrote. As a writer, I at first missed the point, and I wondered at the preposterous strength of that teaspoon. But what I think we can learn most from him, from this deeply, deeply imperfect human being, is the importance of quiet. To be clear, Portage Central High School is not a quiet place. We are active, we are intense, we debate, we argue, we perform, we compete. Indeed, a good deal of your success as seniors here at Portage Central High School has come because of your drive, your commitment to engage deeply with your work and with one another, to push one another to incredibly high levels of achievement and success. I am so, so grateful for that. Your powerful investment in your success raises the hopes and expectations for us as an entire community, making all of us collectively stronger. And I hope in the years ahead, you give yourself time and space simply to be. Much is said these days about the importance of meditation. It is an important part of most faiths, most religions. You can take classes, you can read books, you can even watch YouTube videos, which is all to the good. Harrison spent a lot of the years writing to make it clear that there's absolutely nothing new about this. Quote, "The roots of meditation," he wrote, "are found in prehistoric hunting techniques. You sit and you wait without thinking about sitting and waiting." Humans, Homo sapiens, had to be quiet and to be present to provide for themselves and for their entire families and for their communities for thousands of years. Indeed, in Harrison's view, it is more true to say that meditation created who we are as a species than that we created meditation. It is at those points of solitude and quiet that we can be open to who we are, without comparisons, without judgment by you or anyone else. It is at those moments when you can step back from what you perceive the world wants and decide what you want. It is at these times you can look at all the paths in front of you, because you have many, and you can see them for what they are, not what you imagine them to be. Without quiet, there can be no reflection. And without reflection, we can only react to the world around us, rather than decide who we want to be and where we want to go. So please, in the weeks and months ahead, be kind to yourself. Set aside the laptop, spend 30 fewer minutes doing homework. Instead, just go. Find some quiet. Listen to your own voice, your own thoughts. Pick your direction of all the paths that are in front of you. If you do, you will, without question, become more real. You will become truer, a more honest you. And you will make at least two old men, Jim Harrison and me, really, really proud. Thank you so much for being here, folks, and congratulations. Next, I'm really grateful to introduce our IB coordinator and a good friend, Eric Lancaster, to introduce all of our IB Diploma students and their educators of distinction.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so grateful that we can be here in person and celebrate the work, the effort, the dedication of all of these students. This evening, we will invite each one of these students up on stage with their significant educators. The students will then say a few words about each of their educators and why that person was so important to them on this journey. We'll be doing this in alphabetical order. We will have the students line up over here on these steps. When the student lines up, their significant educator can line up with them. They will come up to the center stage. The student will stand at the microphone. The educators will be socially distanced, and we'll celebrate each one of those individuals and the educators that they invited. Sound good? Excellent. So, students, can we have the first few of you line up over here, and I'll give you a second to get situated. So as we go, we'll probably have maybe 3 or 4 of the students over here, and when you see you're next in line, then you can get up, and that's why we asked the students to sit on the end of the aisles, so it would be easy for them to get up and go and meet their educators. Okay. First up is Audrey Bench. Audrey's extended essay was in history, titled, "How Successful Was Muhammad Ali's Fight for the Well-Being of Racial and Religious Minorities in Regards to His Efforts and Experiences During the Civil Rights Movement." She'll be attending Michigan State University's Honors College, studying biochemistry and Spanish in hopes of being a dermatologist. If need be, I can step away and they can speak here too.
You can take your time. I really don't need one.
Test.
All right, here we go. Next up is Ethan Boot. Ethan's extended essay was in math, titled, "To What Extent Can Game Show Contestants Apply Principles of Statistics and Probability to Manipulate the Odds of Winning?" He'll be attending Western Michigan University, majoring in mechanical engineering and minoring in design.
So I don't really have enough time to show the impact that the educators that I chose had on my life. I just don't have enough time. But when I met Ms. Weidendorf, I was in middle school, which I think we all can agree is one of the worst times in anyone's life. And we were a terrible bunch of 8th graders, just awful. But she encouraged us to be ourselves, and we were free to be ourselves in one of the most nurturing and fun environments of our classroom. And though we can't be here tonight, when I met, fashionably late as always, Mr. King. When I met Mr. King, probably about 10 years ago, I was in elementary school. He encouraged my artistic abilities, and that has ultimately been one of the greatest deciding factors of my entire life. These educators stand out as people who in some of the hardest times allowed me to be my freest and happiest self, and for that I thank them deeply.
Next up is Alexander Bowman. Alex did his extended essay in history titled, "To What Extent Did the Battle of El Alamein Influence the Retake of Northern Africa During World War II?" He'll be attending Purdue University, studying engineering.
So my two significant educators are Mrs. Graham and Mr. Rapp. Mrs. Graham, you made English class fun. Every single day when I went into your classroom, it was so much fun, and you made reading every single book more amazing. And you taught me that reading a book fast isn't what is important in English class. It's understanding what's happening in the book, how the characters develop, how each story is unique. And just like chocolate, you need to be able to eat it slowly and enjoy it rather than just eat it as fast as you can. And in poetry, it's all subjective. You don't have to write about walking down a winter path at night. You can write about waffles. To Mr. Rapp, you taught me that having fun in school is just as important as learning. And you made learning all of the extra classes that we had to take, all the extracurriculars that we had to take fun, because you did it in your way, and you made it so that it was unique to each and every student that came into your classroom. I really appreciate how you helped each individual as they needed help, and how you made all of the projects more free and diverse and creative to each student's needs, and how no matter what mood you were in, you helped all of us have fun. I would like to thank both of you very much.
Next is Rebecca Chenoweth. She did her extended essay in sports science titled, "To What Extent Does a 16 to 18-year-old male versus female's Q angle affect the way that they land from a jump and in turn affect the probability of tearing their ACL?" She'll be attending Adrian College to play softball and will major in biology in hopes of becoming a veterinarian.
First, Mrs. Kaler, your kindness and positivity got me through even the toughest days at PCHS, like when I crashed my car. I will never forget all the amazing things that made your class special to me. Little things like music in the lab, challenges between classmates with review games, and surprise ice cream Fridays. They all made me want to come to your class each and every day. I'm so grateful that you were my teacher for 2 years, and you inspired me to continue my love for biology through my career path and the rest of my life. You definitely shaped my life for the better, and thank you for always being there for me. Mrs. Mills. I remember the first time I walked into your class sophomore year, and I thought, holy cow, she is not only strict, but also extremely intimidating. I remember walking out of that classroom and staring with wide eyes at all my classmates, thinking, what the heck did we just sign up for Honors English 10? But now I can only describe you as an incredibly kind, empathetic, and the most generous woman ever in my life. Not only did you drag me through my English books for 2 years, you also taught me the confidence through my speeches and compassion through our Optimist Club. You've always been there for me through thick and thin, and I'll be forever grateful for you and being my teacher, my friend, and an amazing role model in my life. I'll never forget everything you've done. Thank you for it all.
Next is Julia Colarossi. Julia did her extended essay in history titled, "To What Extent Did the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, or the NFIP, aid in the vaccine and treatment efforts for polio in the mid-20th century America?" She'll be attending the University of Michigan on a pre-med track.
Okay, first I would like to start off by thanking Mr. Baker. Thank you for always being supportive, whether it was helping me while I struggled to recall terms freshman year in Honors Modern American History class, or being my advisor for one of the longest essays I've ever written. You always made time to answer my questions and provide feedback. Thank you for genuinely caring about your students and providing me with guidance in TOK to help me navigate the IB Diploma program during this unusual year. And next, Mr. Freeland, my first physics teacher and Science Olympiad coach. Thank you so much for your dedication and enthusiasm in creating a well-rounded community of scholars for Science Olympiad. The physics lab will always feel like a home. Thank you for teaching me how to use the 3D printers and incorporating countless experiments throughout physics class. And lastly, for encouraging me to explore new areas of science and providing the materials and support necessary to ensure my success. Thank you.
Next is Matteo DiMattia. Matteo's extended essay was in biology titled, "How Do Different Salts Inhibit Bacterial Growth on Dried Meats While Taking into Account the Health Issues Caused by the Different Salts?" He'll be attending Michigan State University and studying biology.
All right, so first I would like to thank Mrs. Kaler for all of her help throughout this process for the extended essay. I encountered numerous issues that I would not like to mention. But not only did she help me a lot with my extended essay, but also throughout my entire bio class first year, I did a lot of procrastination, and you still helped me out as much as possible, especially with the IA, and I'm very grateful for it. And also, all your positivity in the classroom, all the activities we did, I am very grateful for you making that class so much fun. Now I would like to address Mrs. Buchanan. She's my English tutor. I moved here a week before my freshman year of high school started. I only knew the basics of English, such as the conjugation of the verbs have and be. And she helped me so much throughout high school, especially the first 2 years, to get to the IB level for IB English HL. And I'm very grateful for all of your help in allowing me to do this IB diploma. Thank you.
Next up is Elise Eichmann. Elise did her extended essay in global politics titled, "To What Extent is Article 12, No One Shall Be Subjected to Arbitrary Interference with His Privacy Violated Through the Implementation of Airline Passenger Profiling and its Data Allocation?" She'll be attending the University of Michigan and pursuing studies in dental hygiene.
Thank you. It is my great honor to recognize my two educators of distinction this evening. The first is Mrs. Janet Lavasser. As a student in Mrs. Lavasser's freshman English class, I was mesmerized by her ability to welcome me into her classroom, teach me the finer points of honors English, and instill in me a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for learning. As my extended essay advisor, Mrs. Lavasser provided me unwavering emotional and technical guidance throughout my project. Lastly, from an extracurricular standpoint, Mrs. Lavasser has gone above and beyond to show her support of my athletic and student council activities. Mrs. Lavasser, thank you incredibly for all that you have done for me. Thank you. My next special educator I would like to acknowledge is Mr. Eric Albertus. During my high school years, he has truly been the embodiment of the Mustang way. He never ceases to amaze me by his ability to value each student's attributes and cultivate cohesiveness as the ultimate community builder. With the arrival of the pandemic 13 months ago, Mr. Albertus has worked tirelessly to navigate Portage Central through unprecedented challenges. I personally have looked to him on multiple occasions for leadership guidance and support. Mr. Albertus, your friendship and leadership have meant the world to me. On behalf of myself and the student body, it is my great honor to recognize and thank you.
Next up is Ellie Geib. Ellie's extended essay was in biology titled, "To What Extent Does the Angle of the Sun in the Sky Affect the Growth Rate of the Stem of the Lepidium savitum, or the garden cress?" She plans on attending the University of Michigan in the fall.
Okay, so I met Mrs. Connor when I was 5 years old, reading to her dog Sully at the Portage District Library. At the young age of 5, she encouraged me and helped develop my love of reading, which has obviously been very helpful throughout the IB Diploma. And in 3rd through 5th grade, she was one of my E-squared teachers who taught me the importance of thinking outside of the box. And I am beyond certain that if it were not for my years of creativity and independence that I experienced at E-squared, that I would not have been able to almost make it through the IB Diploma. And Mrs. Kaler, last year you turned my hardest IB class into the class I looked forward to the most. Even throughout online school in the spring, you made a consistent effort to stay connected with your students and showed genuine interest in our well-being. At the end of last year, Mrs. Kaler was already one of my favorite teachers, but then I got the opportunity to work with her this year as one of the co-presidents of Kids in Science. After many hours of Google Meets, email strings, and a few FaceTime calls, Mrs. Kaler has helped me navigate and lead a club with over 100 members in one of the most difficult years. Mrs. Kaler has taught me biology, organization, and leadership, but most importantly, she has gotten me 45.2K likes on a TikTok. I am so beyond thankful that I have had the opportunity to have these two women as teachers and mentors, and I know without a doubt that I would not be where I am today without their significant impact on my life. Thank you.
Next up is Alex Ghosh. Alex's extended essay was in business titled, "What Strategic Changes Should Amazon Implement in its Operation and Marketing to Optimize Product Consumption and Success Given the Current External Influences?" He is going to attend either the University of Florida, Indiana University, or the University of North Carolina and study information systems.
So I'll start with Mr. Baker. And I think all IB parents, kids, and staff members know how important Mr. Baker is to the IB curriculum and to the school. I've had Mr. Baker for TOK and NHS, but he's been important for almost every aspect of IB and the school. He's helped my entire family through the IB process and with every aspect of it. and I don't think he knows how thankful we all are of him for that help. I'm so thankful for this help and the process with Mr. Baker, and so thankful for the discussions we've had in TOK. As for Mrs. French, Mrs. French is a new teacher here, and before my junior year, I didn't know what to expect, but she ended up being one of my favorite teachers here at PC, and I would be lying if I said history was even close to one of my favorite subjects, but and the IB curriculum surely didn't make it any better. But Mrs. French turned that class into something that I looked forward to every day with the in-class discussions and the way that she teaches. It made almost every day enjoyable in that class. I'm so thankful for Mrs. French creating a learning environment that was fun for each and every one of us.
Next up is Megan Gibson. Megan's extended essay was in sports science titled, "Are there gender differences in anxiety of adolescent swimmers when they receive pre- and post-parental feedback?" She'll be attending the University of Michigan, studying biopsychology, cognition, and neuroscience on a pre-med track, or sorry, pre-PA track.
Okay, so first I would like to thank Mrs. Mills. Mrs. Mills has helped me tremendously over the past 3 years. And as my IB English teacher, she has helped me improve more than I thought I ever could. She has made me a much better speaker and writer, which is both greatly appreciated by me and my mom, so thank you. And I also really appreciate everything that she has done because I know I could not have gotten accepted into the University of Michigan without you. And I also wanted to thank you because even after you retired, you continued to have a huge impact on me by editing all of my college essays and writing me numerous letters of recommendation, which I cannot thank you enough for. And I am just so lucky to have had the privilege of having you as a teacher for 2 years and for developing a friendship with you. And second, I would like to thank Senora Moss because she has been an amazing teacher and friend to me. She's helped me develop a love for Spanish, so much so that I will be minoring in it in college. And she has also prepared me for the IB exam better than I could have ever asked for, which is greatly appreciated. And she has made me a much better speaker and writer in Spanish. However, most importantly, she helped me get through a difficult time in February when my mom had a medical emergency. And not only did she ask how my mom was every day, but she also made sure every day that I was doing okay, and also made an effort every day to ask if there was anything that she could do, which meant the world to me. And I really appreciate everything that you have done and getting the chance to get to know you more. And aprecio todo que me ha enseñado y sobre todo aprecio mucho nuestra amistad. And thank you both so much for everything.
Next up is Mustafa Hyatt. Mustafa's extended essay was in business, titled, "To What Extent Has COVID-19 Affected Businesses at Bike Rallies versus Online Businesses?" He'll be attending the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University and plans to major in finance.
Hi, my name is Mustafa Hayat. As he told you guys 1 second ago, my significant educators are Mr. Chambers, who was my teacher for my IB business class this year. Mr. Chambers has taught me a lot throughout high school, inside and outside of the classroom. Outside of the classroom, I was in a club called DECA. In DECA, we are responsible for learning about business and giving a presentation depending on our topic. And in that category, Mr. Chambers taught me a lot, and he helped me a lot throughout the process. In sophomore year, me and my two friends, we made it to their international competition in Florida, and that was really exciting, and that was all because of Mr. Chambers. And Mrs. DeVries, she was my speech teacher throughout first to fifth grade. In speech class, I had a stutter, so she helped me do speech drills that would help me with my stutter, and I had a great time in her class. I still remember that I would attend twice a week, and we would do things such as play games, and even outside of her teaching me how to speak. She was like a second mom to me, basically. She was someone I could always talk to if I had an issue, and she was someone that I just loved. Thank you.
Next up is Thanuka Jayatilaka. His extended essay was in biology titled, How Effective Are Insecticide-Treated Bed Nests in the Control and Prevention of Malaria Compared to Other Preventative Measures and Vector Controls? He'll be attending the University of Michigan with a plan to major in neuroscience.
Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Ravi Sunkara, who was my SAT tutor last year. And he really helped me a lot preparing for the SAT, but not only that, in terms of preparing for college, which, as you all know, was a major part of the grind this year. And I think it's safe to say I would be lost going into that test, and I would really have no idea where I'd be going next year if it weren't for you. So I really want to thank you for that. And I think you've really been personally invested in me and my success more than any other teacher I've ever had. So I really appreciate that, and I really thank you for that. And then also Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook has been a really important instrumental member of Philosophy Club, which is a club I started for the past 2 years. And Mr. Cook, I think without you, pretty much Philosophy Club would be lost. It would just be a couple of clueless kids talking in a room. But with your help, it's been a successful club. And now every week, I look forward to having that time where we and the other members can talk and just enjoy that time. And I really appreciate both of you. Thank you so much.
Next is Asad Khan. His extended essay was in computers, titled, To What Extent Does Regularization Impact the Performance of Predicting Housing Prices? He'll be attending the University of Michigan to study computer science.
Hello, everyone. The first significant educator that I'll be discussing is Mrs. Normo. She was my 7th grade Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 teacher. I'd like to thank her because in the first exam that we had in Algebra 1, I got a solid 62%. Although I was pretty surprised and amazed by my accomplishment, she helped me increase my score, such as by doing 10 push-ups after every problem I got wrong on the whiteboard, and also by delaying our lunchtime, which was actually a break time because I was an ATIP. But although everything in my mind was just devouring a good, sweet set of chips, she would make me stay and other kids who weren't getting the problems right to actually master the material. So I'd like to thank Mrs. Normo for that. And Mr. Cook. We all know Mr. Cook as the person who keeps on cooking just straight fire at the Welcome Center. But Mr. Cook, he's actually a philosophy genius. He's a philosopher. As Thanu Jayatilaka and I, we co-founded Philosophy Club together, and as Thanu said best, it would be a club of clueless kids without Mr. Cook. And I just really appreciated the times that Mr. Cook would just send me outside of my class to discuss philosophy for 40 minutes straight. And this actually happened several times. And I'm not kidding. This actually did happen. Mr. Cook can confirm this. So I'd like to thank him for that. And now that IB about to graduate, I'd just like to congratulate this moment because we're all about to get a diploma. Actually, I got a 13 out of 40 on my physics paper 1, so I'm not sure how that's about to happen, but la felicidad, as Senor Omas would say. So, peace out, everyone.
Next up is Isabel Curian. She did her extended essay in psychology titled, "Does Bilingualism Prevent the Onset of Alzheimer's Disease?" She's planning on going to either NYU or Purdue in the fall.
I'm honored today to introduce two educators who have had an enormous impact on the last 7 years of my life. First, I would like to thank Ms. Foster, my 6th grade math teacher. When I first started middle school, math was my absolute least favorite subject. But as the year went on, you definitely changed my mind. You were the first teacher to actually get me to like math, and that had a huge impact on me pursuing engineering in college. Coming into 6th grade as a student from a private school, you really made me feel welcome, and you were so kind, and made the transition from private school to public school so much better. So thank you so much for that. The next educator I'd like to thank is Mr. Schaefer. When I first met you, it was freshman year, and I spontaneously decided I wanted to start swimming again. And you welcomed me to the team with no hesitation. And since then, you have pushed me to work hard and truly impacted my outlook on everything. You are always positive and encouraging me to climb my own mountain and give my all no matter what I do. And being in your class this past year has been a blast. Thank you for everything. I am truly grateful for the both of you.
Next up is Kate Lindsay. Kate's extended essay was in biology titled, "To What Extent is White Tea Extract More or Less Effective Than the Green Tea Extract in Limiting Starch Digestion by the Inhibition of the Salivary Enzyme Alpha Amylase?" She'll be attending the University of Michigan to study molecular, cellular, and developmental biology on a pre-med track and a minor in Spanish.
My first significant educator is Mrs. Skippers. She is someone who has known me since the 6th grade. Her endless support, kindness, and presence has changed my life and education for the better. She has helped shape me into the person I am today and always reminded me that I have someone in my corner. I cannot thank her enough for everything she has done for me over the past 7 years and throughout my IB experience. My second significant educator is Mrs. Kaler. Being my honors biology and IB biology teacher, as well as my extended essay advisor, her unmatchable lessons throughout the years have brought me my love for science and learning. Acting as both a teacher, leader, and supporter, she has taught me to be myself and never let anything stop me. Her support has been more than helpful, and I am so grateful for everything she has done for me, so thank you.
Next up is Molly Longman. Molly's extended essay was in sports science titled, "Which Athletes Are More Motivated to Achieve Success, American Football Players or Male Cross-Country Runners?" She'll be attending Michigan State University and majoring in business management while also pursuing a career in pastoral ministry.
All right. So first, I want to start by thanking Coach Schaefer. I just want to thank you for everything, for being my coach, my teacher, my advisor, and my friend. You not only coached me in swimming, but in life as well. You gave me opportunities to lead and to grow in my leadership more than you could ever know. You taught me to find the grit within myself, not only in swimming, but just in life and in myself as well. You taught me not to take myself so seriously and to laugh at myself, even when I accidentally drive to swim practice at 2 in the morning. Yeah, that was funny. I will miss your pep talks and life lessons and how you always, after you'd give one to the team, you'd look at me and be like, how was that one, Molly? Was that good? I don't know. I grew a lot from being on your team, not only as an athlete, but as a human being, and I will forever be thankful for you and your friendship. And Matt, I've known you for the past 7 years of my life, and you've seen me in a lot of different seasons, a lot of different areas in my life, and I'm so thankful that you've stayed consistent to be a mentor and a friend to me. I'm so grateful for how much you have poured into my life. You are one of the main reasons why I feel so called to work in full-time ministry. You have taught me a lot about life, a lot about God, a lot about people, and a lot about leadership. Thank you for being such a strong and influential mentor. You have taught me to include people, to love people, and to accept people for who they really are, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm so thankful for the past 7 years and all of the times and talks and memories that we have shared, and I'm forever grateful for you and your leadership in my life. Thank you.
Next up is Jan Mintushevich. His extended essay was in sports science titled, How Does the Surface of a Tennis Court Have an Effect on the Vertical Bounce of a Tennis Ball? He'll be attending Michigan State University and will major in biochemistry and molecular biology.
All right, I'll start by addressing the significant educator who couldn't be here today, Mrs. Lorenzik. Mrs. Lorenzik is a teacher here at Portage Central High School, and I had her for my sophomore biology class. And Mrs. Lorenzik, her class is by far the most favorite class that I've had in high school. Every student in this class was super comfortable, and it made me want to actually be in school. And I'm very grateful for that. And as well, she has been the advisor for the pickleball club, which is a club that I started this year with a few of my friends. So I'll thank her for that when I see her next time. But over here on my right is my second significant educator, which is Coach Oak. Many of you might know that I play tennis, and tennis has been an incredibly important part in my life. And Oak has actually taught me to become the tennis player that I am today. There are times in my life where I saw Oak nearly as much as my parents. I'd see him 4 hours a day when I was like 8 years old, which is kind of crazy for an 8-year-old. But and although I'll never forgive him for the amount of running he made me do, I understand that it taught me to have some tough skin. So on top of this, as well as being a coach, Oak taught me important life lessons, and which is why he's a significant educator. So I thank you very much.
Next up is Jace Plew. Jace's extended essay was in biology titled, To What Extent Do Genetics and Environmental Factors Play a Role in the Athletic Ability of Athletes Differing by Gender and Race? Be attending Purdue University in the fall, majoring in exploratory studies in order to figure out what major will fit him best.
So I want to begin with saying that both of my educators were not only just educators, but friends throughout my high school career. Starting off with Mr. Hoopengardner, funnily enough, during my 8th grade year, I remember it was ending and I was about to go into high school. And my mom is like learning from my brother who didn't apply for it, said you should apply for student council. Well, I was like, okay, I guess I'll put in an application. My freshman year came around, and it ended up being one of my favorite classes, if not my favorite in my high school career. I had it my freshman and sophomore year, and Mr. Hoopengartner was an absolute blessing of a teacher to have. He just opened me up to everything. Through everything, he was just a friend. You know, I would go to that class, I'd walk in, and he was just always had a smiling face. It was truly a blessing to have him in my life, and he showed me a lot of leadership skills. And secondly, Mrs. Kaler. Now, I know Mrs. Kaler has been up here for a lot of people because she's such a great teacher, but I really, really wanted to have her as my educator because she was phenomenal in my career. Coming into high school, everyone was asking me, what do you want to major in? And it was kind of stressing me out. And I previously had not had a biology class, so going into that class sophomore year and junior year with her truly, truly helped me find my passion for biology, which I will continue to learn once I go to Purdue. So I just want to thank you guys for not only being my educators, but for being my friends throughout my high school career.
Next up is Kyle Rakowitz. Kyle did his extended essay in physics titled, "To What Extent Does Changing the Amount of Coils in a Simple DC Motor Affect the RPM?" He'll be attending the University of Michigan and studying mechanical engineering.
Okay, hello. I've nominated Mr. Freeland and Mr. Zook as my significant educators. Starting with Mr. Zook, he has been my IB physics teacher for 2 years now. Oh, mask. And I have learned so much. Mr. Zook is great at making topics engaging, whether it be particle physics or simple motion. He is great at making these seemingly difficult concepts more manageable for a student. Mr. Zook was also my extended essay advisor, and he really helped guide me through the tricky parts of my investigation on electric motors. In the end, his encouragement led me toward my college plans and helped me identify physics as something of great interest to me. Okay, and now for Mr. Freeland. He was my freshman physics teacher as well as my Science Olympiad coach. Science Olympiad was something extremely important to me in high school, as it provided me with a space to pursue my interests while forming a community with my teammates. Mr. Freeland was the person who made this encouraging environment possible, and I can't thank him enough for all the time and effort he put into Science Olympiad. It encouraged me to follow my passion for science and to continue to challenge myself. I cannot thank the both of them enough for all they've done for me.
Next is Sergio Ramos Rivera. Sergio did his extended essay in physics titled, "To What Extent Does the Temperature of a Trombone Affect the Frequency of the Notes Played?" He'll be attending Michigan State University in the fall.
So, hi. As you heard, my extended essay was all about music and physics. First of all, on the music side of things, we have Mr. Kozin. He was my 8th grade, he was not only 8th grade, but band teacher all of middle school. And let me say, the first time I ever played the trombone in his class, I was absolutely terrible. After that first day, I was still terrible. But then he filled me with love of music that has continued all the way into high school, and maybe into college, though I'm not sure about that part yet. You are not only able to teach a bunch of kids who never learned how to play an instrument how to play music, but you did it every single year. I don't know how you did it. But it's a skill that many of us will never have. But you not only showed us how to play music, but also how to have fun in the class, not to take anything too seriously. And also just how to, and besides all that, how to not only play music, but how to also endure other hard things besides learning music and learning a completely new instrument that's helped me all the way up to this moment right here. So thank you. And then on the physics side of things, we have Mr. Zook. And I'll tell you, your class is definitely extremely hard, especially this year. But even though it's such a hard class, we still managed to make it so much fun and so many different applications of what we're doing and how to actually make the class more engaging. So even though you're talking about projectile motion, how to model gas, and even quantum mechanics, you still also find time to talk about Star Wars, the latest Mandalorian episode, and even play like random like Indiana Jones music while doing some physics problems sometimes. You taught me not only how to do physics and but also how to like work hard and how to have fun during class. Because even during the times when we randomly had people bring in accordions during class when we were learning about resonance, it was still a fun class, and you taught me so much. And both of you are not only great teachers, but friends and people that I remember for the rest of my life.
Next up is Liam Rohr. Liam's extended essay was in sports science, titled "Which Type of Stretching Increases Shoulder Joint Extension Range of Motion the Most, and How Can This Information Be Used to Prevent Injury?" He'll be attending Bowdoin College in the fall and plans to pursue a major in chemistry.
Thank you, Mr. Lancaster. When I was told I only had to pick 2 people who significantly impacted my education and my development as a person, I thought it'd be impossible, and quite frankly, it was. There are so many people in my life whose lessons have stuck with me and made me into the person and gotten me here today. However, after much deliberation, I'm proud to say that the people who are most critical in my development are right here next to me. Mr. Myers was my 6th and 7th grade history, English, geography, current events, and my personal favorite, ultimate Frisbee teacher. Mr. Myers has a passion for teaching, but also a passion for learning that I believe he passed on down to me. And he was never afraid to show off what he learned. I look back fondly, remembering how he discussed every night's episode of Jeopardy, going over clues we knew, clues we didn't know, and sometimes even playing in class. Mr. Myers showed me that it was cool to be smart, it was cool to know the answer, and it was even cooler to ask questions when you didn't know the answer, because that meant you learned something. I don't think I would have even begun to appreciate that without your presence, Mr. Myers. And Mr. Myers, for being the biggest influence in my academic life, I sincerely thank you. Coach Jeff Russell, who from the very beginning insisted I called him Jeff, was my coach for the past decade of my time in sport is swimming. After being with him for such a long time, I realized that if there was ever anyone I wanted in my corner cheering me on, it was him. Through my journey in the sport of swimming, Jeff was there for every high and every single low. He was the one who worked me the hardest and put me through the most intense physical pain I've ever been through, yet oddly enough, I think I'm gonna miss him the most. Being a young person and knowing that I had that type of support and encouragement behind me made me feel unstoppable. Jeff taught me more about myself than I ever could have, and he told me that I could always do it, and he knew that he could dream it before I could have even thought it. Jeff, for being the person I could always count on to cheer me up, and for being the person who never stopped believing in what I could do and believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself, I sincerely thank you. Without either of these educators and their lessons in sport, I'd be a much different person than I am today. I doubt I'll ever be able to thank you both enough for what you've done for me, but I hope tonight you're able to get a sense of how much I owe the both of you. Thank you.
Next up is Molly Ross. Molly's extended essay was in psychology, titled "Is There a Genetic Predisposition for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder?" She'll attend Michigan State University in the fall and study kinesiology.
First teacher I would like to recognize is Mrs. Street, my 5th grade teacher. Thank you for being a truly outstanding teacher. Your passion for teaching and your dedication to your students is obvious in everything you do. I feel so lucky to have been put into your class. I hope you know the priceless impact you are making in so many lives. I am recognizing you because you care about all your students' successes, and I know that you will do that for the rest of your students here on out. You have truly helped me succeed in all subjects because you taught me to be patient with what I am learning. For that, I owe you so much, and I am so happy you were able to be here tonight. Mr. Lancaster, I have no words to which to convey my thanks for all your help in getting me through some of the toughest things in the IB Diploma, one being the extended essay. You have created a fun environment for all of the students you have taught, especially myself the past 2 years. You have instilled in me an interest in psychology, and even though I do not plan to study it, I plan to take many classes related. I don't think you realize it, but you have been such a huge influence on me this year. You have made me so excited and passionate about the rest of my learning experiences to come. You have gone above and beyond to help and support me this year, and I'm sure many others. I am happy to say that your class is the one I look forward to in my day. Thank you.
Next is Armand Sadu. Armand's extended essay was in sports science, titled, "Do all golf balls go different distances? If so, what designs go further?" He plans to attend the University of Michigan in the fall and study biology on a pre-med track.
Don't mind what I'm wearing. I just had a golf tournament. But my first significant educator is Mr. Johnson. He was my 4th grade teacher at Amberley, which was by far my favorite year in elementary school. Today he handed me a letter that I wrote to myself in 4th grade and was able to actually have a few laughs. Back then I wanted to drive a lime Lamborghini and go to Harvard, but things changed, I guess. I was able to remember from writing that letter that I related to Mr. Johnson because he was my first male teacher that I'd had, and I just thought he was a really cool guy and I wanted to be like him in the future. I have the most memories from elementary school in his class, and it was able to let me transition into middle school, and I really thank him for that. My second significant educator is Senora Rydell. As like most people, I've been in Spanish class since 7th grade. But the 3 quarters that I had before COVID in Spanish 4 with Senor Rydell were the most impactful. That year I was able to learn a lot, and most importantly, gain confidence when it comes to speaking and using Spanish. Though Spanish may not be my favorite subject, I was able to approach it from a different angle. While I am terrified of taking the Spanish IB exam in the upcoming weeks, like the other exams, the oral part went as well as it could have, and I completely credit Senor Rydell for the preparation. Because of that experience, I feel ready for Spanish in college, so thank you.
Next up is Hayden Siebers. Hayden's extended essay was in mathematics, titled, "How can cardioids be constructed and where do they show up?" He'll be attending the University of Texas at Dallas and plans to study math.
I chose one of my people, I forgot what they're called, significant educators, to be Mr. King. He's been my art teacher for the past 4 years, and he was also my art teacher, and I believe in 3rd grade in elementary school. I was looking back at my artwork today that I made during elementary school, and I noticed that the projects I made in 3rd grade were pretty good because Mr. King had this talent to pick out projects that would still look good even with a 3rd grader's ability. A lot of the stuff I learned in that class I still know today. He taught us some one-point perspective in that class. It was really nice. And now I've had him for the past 4 years, so I've learned a lot more mediums other than just colored pencils and construction paper. He's also been my supervisor for the art club, and we'll get the mural done eventually, guys. Don't worry about it. And then my other significant educator I chose is Mr. Freeland. Mr. Freeland was my first physics teacher, and I really enjoyed that class. We had a lot of fun experiments we did, and Mr. Freeland also encouraged me to join the Science Olympiad team, which I hadn't joined at the beginning of the season. And when I joined that, I found a lot of good friends in that, and I really loved that club. And I'm really thankful for Mr. Freeland because he put in a lot of work, many hours past after the school was closed even. and I'm really grateful for that. One way that the math and physics are related is Mr. Freeland would always encourage us to make sketches of all of our problems, and I've continued doing that. And I think that's really helped me have a good visual conception of things in all of my classes like math and chemistry, and also physics. So thank you to both of them.
Next is Harman Sohi. Harman's extended essay was in physics, titled, "To What Extent Can the Potato Battery Be Optimized?" He'll be attending Western Michigan University in the fall.
Okay, so the first significant educator I chose was my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Blue. Before 5th grade, I pretty much spent all of preschool through 4th grade in Florida, and it was at the start of 5th grade that I moved here to Michigan. And aside from the temperature change, I pretty much had to deal with so many other factors, like starting at a new school, having to make new friends and such. And I was just thankful to have a teacher like Mrs. Plough throughout all of that, because 5th grade in her class was pretty much probably one of my favorite years of elementary school, because the holiday parties were always fun, like messing around, painting pumpkins in our Halloween costumes, or making gingerbread houses. And beyond that, it was in her class that I ended up meeting people, making friends that I would have with me all throughout middle school and even till today. And one fond memory I have that's actually, education related was there was this one tournament we were doing in math where we were adding up decimals, and it was just like we would write our answers on the whiteboard. And even though I didn't think I would end up going really far, somehow I just ended up soaring through the entire class. Maybe because I write in doctor's signature on the whiteboard, I don't know, but eventually I ended up all the way in first place, and then someone suggested that I go up against her, and I was thinking, yay, could I take down the teacher? Am I this good? Well, no, I wasn't. But the fact that I was actually able to get up that high was pretty much one of the earliest moments in which I thought that, hey, maybe I might actually be good at math. And my second educator distinction is Mrs. Schraben. Throughout middle school, she was pretty much one of the only teachers that I had for all 3 years, whether it be a science teacher or a computer science teacher. And I remember after 6th grade, after enjoying her class so much, each consecutive year I would see my upcoming schedule and be like, yay, I have Mrs. Schraben in my schedule. Yay. And her approach to teaching just made science and both computer science just really fun classes to be in. I always looked forward to entering her classes, and I felt that whether science or computer science class are just a genuine source of comfort. And something I also liked is how, as we were beginning to roll in with Chromebooks and stuff, she was pretty much very tech forward with all that stuff, and she was there to put in her unique approach to teaching, as we were all trying to figure out what the heck a Google Classroom was. And alongside that was also Coding Club, which is one of the very first after-school activities that I ever started attending. And it was through that class that I would end up gaining an interest in computer science alongside our class. And that's how I would end up wanting to learn how to code and such, which is actually what I plan to pursue in Western Michigan University, majoring in computer science. So just thank you for just being a really fantastic teacher and for having a role in helping me choose what to do with my future.
Next up is R.O. Srivastava. Her extended essay was in psychology, titled, "To What Extent Does an Authoritarian Parenting Approach Contribute to the Development of Generalized Anxiety Disorder?" She'll be attending the University of British Columbia and majoring in psychology.
Okay, so all of my IB teachers have greatly helped me get to where I am, but the most significant ones would have to be Miss Patrick and Mr. Lancaster. So for those of you who don't know Miss Patrick, first of all, you're missing out. Even before school started, freshman year, I had just moved here. Miss Patrick always made it clear that she was there to support us no matter what. Whether we were crying over random things during band camp or had a family emergency, she was always the most understanding person. And over the years, she has helped me grow into not only a better musician, but a better team player, leader, and a person overall, so thank you for that. And Mr. Lancaster, he has always encouraged me to do things I didn't even know I was capable of, despite my reluctance sometimes. He's put up with me and my shenanigans through class, the extended essay, and the awful Canadian university application process. His class and the whole environment of it sparked my interest for psychology and helped me decide my career path in the future. So thank you.
Next up is Franz Tenade. Fran's extended essay was in chemistry, titled, "To What Extent Does Acid Precipitation Caused by Sulfuric and Nitric Acids Affect the Composition of Aluminum-Based Overhead Conductor Lines?" He'll be attending the University of Michigan in the fall, studying biochemistry on a pre-med route.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Franz Tenade, and today I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards two significant educators. My first significant educator is Mr. Michael Harsini. Mr. Harsini has been a great family friend. He and I have had many, many great intellectual conversations about interesting topics such as philosophy. To provide a little bit of context behind this, about his personality, he has had two sons that actually graduated from Portage Central. He has taught both of his sons on how to play golf since they were both very little kids, and both of them made the varsity golf team. Later on, one of his children actually received a full ride scholarship to Kalamazoo College to play golf. Mr. Harsini, thank you very much for teaching me about how persistent I should be. Thank you very much for being an excellent role model, and thank you very much for your public service. My next second significant educator that I would like to introduce is Marshal Post Commander of the Michigan State Police, ranked First Lieutenant, James Coleman. Chief Coleman and I have known each other for over 3 years. He and I have had many great conversations about his work, his overall experiences as a police officer, and his journey towards becoming a post commander. And he has also been able to, and he has also provided, he and I have been able to talk about several different topics about social issues and that sort of thing. Chief Coleman and I have been able to communicate on many different topics, and he and I have truthfully been able to share a significant bond with each other. Chief Coleman is probably one of the most genuine, authentic, humble, and one of the best people that I've ever met whilst being a confident leader. Chief Coleman, thank you very much for your public service. Thank you very much for being a great down-to-earth person, and thank you very much for being there for me and for helping me with being a confident person. Thank you very much. And I would like to, sorry about that. I would like to express a quick thank you to all of the IB staff, teachers, administrative staff, and counselors in this school for being amazing people and for providing us with a great education. Thank you very much.
Next up is Trygve Thorelson. Trygve's extended essay was in Global Politics, titled, "To What Extent Did the Government's Implementation of Capital Controls Contribute to Iceland's Recovery from the 2008 Economic Crisis?" He plans to study at the University of Reykjavik in Iceland.
I'd like to thank you all for being out here tonight. It means a lot to me. I'd like to thank, first of all, Mr. Cook. I first met him as a substitute teacher during Spanish, and we discussed linguistics. And we've later discovered that we both have a deep passion for philosophy, filmography, and jazz. I also would like to thank Mr. Ullman. He's an overall great guy. You should get to know him if you haven't already. He taught me in freshman year sociology and taught me the importance of discourse with his introductions to class where he would read the news and us as a class would debate what we heard. I'd like to thank these two men. They mean a lot to me, and I'm sure this won't be our last time on stage together. Thank you.
Next is Bassem Warsi. His extended essay was in history, titled, "To What Extent Was Cordoba Successful Under the Rule of El-Ramin III from 912 to 961 CE?" He'll be attending Western Michigan University in the fall, studying electrical engineering.
Hello, everyone. First, I just want to introduce Mrs. Frank as my first significant educator. Mrs. Frank has been my math teacher for 2 years, and she's always been a super supportive teacher and always deeply explaining our notes and topics, even though they're extremely complicated. And she was also extremely supportive during the pandemic when we were out of school, keeping us entertained through her movie trailers and through her movie renditions of kinds like Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park. So I found that super entertaining, and she was always a fun teacher to be around in class. I enjoy her class even though it's at 7:40 in the morning and I'm half asleep. But she always makes the notes easy to understand and a few homework problems, so it's always super enjoyable to be in her class and to be able to learn the math topics so that I can pursue engineering in high school and have a better understanding. Next, I want to recognize my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Orr. When I first was going into 5th grade, she was a new teacher at my school, and I had no idea what to expect. But quickly she came into class and she had a high energy and spirit that she brought every day to class. She made even the mundane and boring things intense and fun, and she always kept us engaged in class and always had a smile on her face and shook our hands as we walked into her classroom. Her classroom was warm and friendly and inviting to all. She recognized everyone in our classroom, regardless if you were short or tall, or no matter what skin color you were. She recognized you and she made everyone known in the class. And even now, I still remember her smile, and it always makes me smile and gives me steam to keep moving forward in my future. Thank you.
Next up is Elizabeth Williams. Her extended essay was in English literature, titled, "To What Makes Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird More Successful and Impactful Than the Original Draft, Go Set a Watchman." She'll attend the University of San Francisco and plans to study psychology.
For Mrs. Bowen, thank you for allowing me to express my creative side through theater, which is something that most definitely helped me build some confidence. You have always been understanding and an easy person to talk to. Through Ms. Bowen, I was given many opportunities. The most important one, in my opinion, was being able to create a diversity club here at school, which has been very helpful and impactful in my life. Words cannot describe how thankful and grateful I am for your continuous support and everything you do in the building. Your presence gives me so much joy, and I am incredibly blessed to have you in my life. Thank you. For Mr. Phillips, thank you for allowing me to express my creative side through journalism. You inspire me every day with your positivity and continuous support. You have always been an easy person to talk to as well, and I could not be more grateful for that. I appreciate you sticking by my side and encouraging me through everything I do. Thank you.
Next up is Ann Yang. Ann's extended essay was in history, titled, "To What Extent Was the Revolutionization of the Performing Arts in China Successful from the 1940s through the 1980s?" She'll be attending the University of Michigan in the fall and will focus on either a pre-med track or going to education.
Yep, I'm the last one. So with a name like Ann Young, you're really either first or really last. So I want to first start with thanking Mr. Larner. He always prioritized personal engagement in his classroom. No matter what time of day it was, he always made sure that we were okay and that we wanted to give him more information on how our days were going. But more than that, he also created an environment where my closest friends and I truly felt included, and honestly, I could not be more thankful for that. And finally, Mr. Boss, he has taught me many things throughout my high school career. Aside from being my 10th grade English teacher, he has also been my head forensics coach, my GSA head, my montage head, and also just a person that I look up to. When things were getting really busy this year, Mr. Boss was the one who encouraged me to do the things that I love the most, which of course were the things that I needed to get through this year. So I thank you for seeing the things that I needed before I even knew I needed them. So I thank you both for guiding me through 3 years of high school and for dealing with my big poggers, like chaotic energy. So thank you.
Let's give all of our students and educators a final round of applause. And again, I'll introduce Mr. Albertus for some closing remarks.
The IB program has done a great deal for us. In more than the 20 years that Portage Central High School has been blessed to be a part of it. Without question, it has pushed us as teachers, helping us to look at our students and our subjects in new and more intentional ways. It has helped us to see that our students can excel on so many different and varied and amazing paths. The IB has encouraged our sons and our daughters to take chances, to challenge themselves, to grow in new areas, and to weather storms, all while they're here with us as moms and dads, so that we can give them the support they need to gain the confidence before they head to weather all the other more intense storms of life that happen next year. So thank you. Thank you to our family members who have supported all of our daughters and sons during these wonderful times, and especially during the difficult times when our students gnash their teeth on an internal assessment or an extended essay way too late into the night. Thank you to our school board and our community members who have made it possible for any young man or woman who chooses to have the opportunity to learn at an intense and thoughtful and truly university level. Thank you to our teachers who push themselves so they are prepared to push our students and to work alongside them so that together they can achieve at the highest levels. And thank you to our sponsors, Amy and Neil Miedema, for making this event possible tonight and for so many years now. And of course, most importantly, thank you to our IB Diploma students. You are the ones who have done the work. You have put in the time and the energy and the sweat in the initiative. Thank you for your patience with us. We recognize without question as colleagues that we can too be a little messy sometimes. Thank you for your absolutely incredible work ethic, for your intense curiosity, for your willingness to push past the simple explanations and to get your hands dirty on the hard effort of building true and rich and complicated understandings. And thank you for your compassion, for seeing us as deeply human and thus imperfect companions, supporting one another for our mutual growth and for our success. This evening, we are showing you our deep gratitude for everything you have accomplished so far, and we cannot wait to see where you go next. Thank you, congratulations, and God bless. Have a great night.